Hey everybody, Brooks from Drag Times here. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is on full self-driving in my Tesla Model S Plaid. Now, if you recall back, about a year and a half ago, Tesla started releasing the alpha version of the beta version of the full self-driving. And that was the first time it was released to general consumers. So in this car, I think I paid about $8,000 for the full self-driving. Of course, now you can pay for it by subscription for $199 a month, which I would have definitely done rather than paying up front, because now full self-driving costs $15,000. And an interesting note on this is that Tesla can actually take it away. So if you don't abide by the full self-driving rules, which are a little dicey to begin with, because you can get dinged and put in autopilot jail for something as, you know, that by looking away for a few seconds or something like that, and Tesla warns you. So if it gets taken away 5 times, Tesla takes it away from you even though you paid for it. So that's an interesting kind of side note, which really isn't what this video is about, but I just thought I'd kind of mention that. Now, today I'm going to see if the Tesla can take me to the gym without any intervention. It's a 4.2 mile drive. It says it's going to take about 8 minutes. Now I've got a camera here to show you what's on this screen and what's going on here. I grabbed a GoPro in case something happens left or right, so I can kind of show you what's going on as well. And I'm also going to offer you some tips and tricks that I've learned over the past year and a half with full self-driving. Now, many of you may ask, well, why haven't you done any videos since you got the full self-driving a year and a half ago? My video was about how I got it. And basically, you had to pass a driving test as per Tesla to get full self-driving. And it was pretty difficult. And, you know, my normally daily driving scenarios, it was impossible for me to get it. So basically, you know, anytime someone braked in front of you, it would measure your braking G-forces, and it would say you turned too fast, or you did this, or you did that. And I would never get high enough score to get the full self-driving. However, I ended up just taking the car in the middle of the night and driving for about 2 hours, 2 in the morning, with no one around, and then parking the car and leaving town. And that's how I finally got the full self-driving. Now you can just opt into the beta program and everyone can get it, so it's a lot different. But back to the question is, why haven't I done any videos in a year and a half with full self-driving? That's because it's been terrible. Like, my honest experience with it is it's really not usable in any of the scenarios when I drive on the streets. So, you know, everyone's experiences across the country, of course, going to be different. And there's a ton of full self-driving videos on YouTube, and they're done basically every day. Someone's uploading the new version of this and that. But full self-driving has finally got to a point where I feel it's worth doing a video on, because it's gotten better. And I'm going to kind of go over where some scenarios where it would really fail on me before, and kind of go over, you know, because this is a drive I do, you know, basically once a day, from home to the gym and back. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to run the cameras and let's see if the car can get me to the gym and back without intervening at all. Right here, we're coming out of the neighborhood. And some of the kind of new features that it comes up with, that it kind of warns you of what it's doing ahead of time. Now, as you can see right now, there's no lines on the road. It's driving straight down the middle of the road.
West 136th Avenue.
And now we're coming up on our first stop sign. So it stops completely and is proceeding. There you go. And another thing you'll notice up here is it doesn't like gates. Now, the gate is open in front of me, so it should be okay. Hopefully the stanchion opens in time, because it's not going to stop for that at all. Well, it might have made it, but nevertheless, gates and things like that, it does not recognize as of yet. So this drive is a mix of unprotected lefts, stop signs, traffic lights, and so forth. So it's a pretty good test. Now, it can get a little frustrating, because a lot of scenarios I would go before it's ready. So as you can see here, it's stopped and it's inching forward. There's a car coming on the left, and it just went ahead and went for it. And that was an abrupt maneuver right there. Okay. So here we are driving down. And look, there's a C8 Corvette with stripes. Nice. Not a Z06. Still nice nonetheless. Now, full self-driving does make you tap the steering wheel every so often to show that you're still being attentive. But a lot of times when it's steering itself, that's hard to do, because if you're holding onto the steering wheel too tight, and Tesla goes to make a maneuver, it goes against your hands. That produces a little too much torque, and it turns off autopilot. So one trick that I've kind of learned about is, instead of doing that, just scrolling up and down on the speed. And if you increment the speed up or down by 1 mile an hour, that counts as basically holding on to the steering wheel, right? So, yep. now we're coming up here. I'm gonna hit the signal right because I want it to go right here, but it didn't. Oh my goodness, that was terrible. Okay. Yeah. It wanted to go straight. I hit the right because I like making right on that bridge and it makes a left, but nevertheless, it didn't make the right in time and just wanted to go straight. So there we go. I'll just let it do its thing, which way it wants to go. Here we go, another stop sign. It says stopping for stop sign. And like it's just taking a while here. Now it's gotta move and get not in the right lane because it's right turn only. And there we go, it's failed. So as you can see, instead of going straight, it should have moved over in the left lane to go straight. Now it has to make a right and make a U-turn because it couldn't make that turn in time. Now I can't say that I've done this drive with, I just can't believe what it's doing right now. It's going around again. It's gonna try the same thing it already tried again. Okay, let's let it do its thing. Let's see if we can get rid of the gym. This was the video. I've done this hundreds of times and it's always been okay. Here we go again. So we just did a complete loop. Instead of making a U-turn over there and going that way, it wants to do the whole loop again. Fine, let's let it see if it can do it the second time. So again, it's flashing at me to take control. I'm just gonna hit the mile an hour button. There we go. Stop sign, right turn signal. Let's see if we can get it right this time. Okay, no one's coming. All right. It's gotta get, it can't get in the right lane again, otherwise it's gonna fail. All right, so no one's, okay. Well, it made it. It had some trouble with it, but it eventually got in the correct lane to go straight. This is actually pretty stressful. So in times when I get stressed, I have this Toad X fidget spinner from the Magnus store. This is titanium, and it's got this really satisfying clicking noise to it. And I also use this when I'm kind of brainstorming and editing videos. This is a stress reliever, and it's definitely useful in times like this. I'll put a link down in the description if you guys want to check this thing out. It's great. All right, so while we wait for the light to turn green, another hint for full self-driving that I've come across is that now it uses the in-cabin camera to watch what I'm doing, which is actually pretty frustrating because a lot of times if I'm looking at the screen trying to change the radio, the car will yell at me to pay attention, even though I'm on autopilot. And that seems like the case where you'd want to use autopilot so you can do different things in the car. Looking away for a little bit to change the radio station should be fine. So a way around that is two things. I've taken a picture of myself and held it up in front of the camera, and it tricks it. That's fine, that works fine. And also, the easier thing to do is just wear sunglasses. As long as you're wearing sunglasses, the car can't tell where you're looking, and it's a much more enjoyable experience when using autopilot. All right, so here we go. Light is green, just easy, kind of moving along here. Not a big deal. I'm putting my set limit at about 50 miles an hour. I think the speed limit's about 45, as it says right there. We're in South Florida. If you go the speed limit, you're gonna get honked on and run over. Pretty easy drive. It's just a few turns and then straight and then a right turn. So if I don't have my glasses on, right, and I picked up my phone and I started looking at my phone like this, immediately the car says that it doesn't like what you're doing and to pay attention to the road. It just wants me to, there it goes, please pay attention to the road. And in this case, when I use the volume, it does go away. But when you have glasses on, it can't tell where you're looking, and it makes it a lot better. So I think I can believe I can kind of hold on to my phone like this because it doesn't know where I'm actually looking at, and it works better. Again, instead of pulling back and forth on the yoke, I just hit the up and down arrow like that. While we're driving, a lot of people have been asking me if I'm getting the track pack for my Tesla Model S Plaid. That includes ceramic brakes, upgraded wheels, and tires to go 200 miles an hour. And the answer is no, and I'm not gonna spend $20,000 on this car. I'd rather just buy it from Tesla and have it already equipped like that instead of dumping my existing brakes in the trash. And again, I had this car from the beginning, and back then, Tesla didn't say you had to pay for those upgrades to go 200 miles an hour. So I'm a little, it's definitely not clear. Like, they definitely made changes on the website over time that said, you know, oh, requires, you know, appropriate wheels and tires, and then, oh, requires paid upgrades. But when I bought the car, you know, those clarifiers were not there. It just said 200 miles an hour coming soon. Let me know what you think in the comments about that. Should I have to pay the 20 grand for the brake upgrade, or should Tesla just give it to me? So, all right, here we are. We made it to the gym. We got the right turning signal on, and this is where we'll kind of cancel out and stop. And it basically doesn't park itself. It'll just kind of say I've arrived right as we pull up in front of the gym. Okay, so there you go. It got us here. Not completely stress-free. I did have to take over once when I wanted to go right and wanted to go to straight. And then when it missed that left turn, it went completely around a loop to try again. Nevertheless, did the car get me here? Yes, it did. All right, so there you go. Let me know in the comments what you think about this full self-driving experience. I definitely think it's going to get better over time. Obviously, it's gotten way better over the past year and a half. Do I think it's going to do robo-taxis like Elon said and go out and make you money? Absolutely not. I think, you know, when you really think about how much brain power and complex decisions it takes to do driving and all these different kind of scenarios, I think the computers have a lot more learning to do before we get to that point. Nevertheless, is it useful? Certainly is. I use it every day driving down to Miami. So hours in the car every day, and autopilot on the highway certainly works amazing. Full self-driving once you get off the highway onto the city streets definitely needs some work, but let me know in the comments what you think. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, helps the video on the channel, and we'll see you next video.